April 18th, the Biden administration announced that the Transportation Security Administration will no longer enforce the federal mandate requiring masks in all U.S. airports and on-board aircraft.
Finally!
Effective immediately, masks are optional for all airport employees, crew members, and customers inside U.S. airports and on-board aircraft.
This is the captain speaking. As of right now, all flights in JetBlue.
You love to see it, and imagine how happy people would be if government would just stop intervening in their lives just even a little bit more. Think about that. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Radowski here of WeAreChange.org. And holy cow, we have another media scandal on our hands that even Jack Dorsey is calling out. As of course, the corporate media has reached another incredulous level of just dastardly, downright disgusting behavior. Lots to talk about here, especially with the latest developments with libs of TikTok. And that's why we're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more on this historical date that I think a lot of Americans should know about. We're going to be talking about that, plus all the latest news happening right now. So much of it, we're just going to jump right into it, as of course a lot of people are celebrating, are visibly happy, cheering at the sight of government no longer telling them what they have to put on their faces. This, as a federal judge in Florida has turned down the mask mandates by this Biden administration that was already supposed to be lifted but was extended for 2 more weeks. Judge Catherine Kimball Mizell said, "I don't feel like waiting," and issued a 59-page decision on this ruling that got rid of these mandates at airports, train stations, and other transportation hubs here in the United States. And now this decision will be a personal decision for individuals and businesses to conduct on their own behalf as they wish, allowing people and businesses to make their own decisions for their own bodies, which according to the people celebrating is the right move to make here. Now this news was met by a lot of people celebrating it, as of course major airlines personally decided that they will no longer be implementing this mandate and leaving the decision for individuals to decide what they want to do for themselves. And now other mass corporations like Uber and Lyft have decided to join American Airlines, United Airlines, Delta Airlines, and all the other major carriers, dropping their mask requirements for drivers and passengers. And in the grand scheme of things, I'm kind of left asking myself, really? This is where we're at? Where the government gets rid of one of their mandates, their recommendations. And I think it's fair to say that we definitely have a long way to go, especially when it comes to pushing for personal responsibility of the individual. But I think the bigger underlining story was that this was a mask mandate implemented by the Biden administration, which was a very unpopular policy, which the U.S. Senate even voted last month to overturn, but the federal government and its bureaucracy illegally was continuing. And it's important to note here that the White House is not fighting back against this decision like they did other very similar decisions, especially when it came to states' issues and rights, specifically with the state of Florida standing up for their own personal decision-making, which was heavily contested by the White House. Now, it's also important to note here that it looks like the President of the United States did not get the memo, as of course we're getting articles according to sources within the White House that he is still planning to wear a mask on a flight to New Hampshire, and that the White House will still be implementing their own kind of mask mandate. And hey, each his own. If you want to do it, do it. But the reason this policy was so unpopular is because it pinned consumers and companies against each other. It divided a country, created angst, division, and a whole lot of infighting when, of course, there could have just been a rational educational campaign that didn't use force or extortion to push these policies on people. If you want people to do something, the best way to get them to do something is to explain it to them calmly, rationally, logically, and I think it's very fair to say that the government had the exact opposite approach, especially when it came to incredulous, nasty individuals like Dr. Fauci that were literally flip-flopping from day to day about their policies and procedures, which to a lot of people were absolutely arbitrary, because they were. They created a lot of mistrust, and all of this was being done under the presidency of Donald Trump, who looks like he's going to be running once again against our current president, Joe Biden, as we have reporting from The Hill that according to their insider sources, Joe Biden told Barack Obama that he's going to be running to be president of the United States again. Now, I don't know if running is a fair statement here. I would say maybe cane walking or being wheeled by the power establishment and corporate media, I think would be more of a fair statement to make here. But I think it's very fair to say, especially with the way that the economy is imploding from horrible fiscal decisions made by both of these presidents, that this is going to be a presidential election cycle that will be an utter disaster of mass proportions. This is why I am personally writing in Let's Go Brandon for the next presidential election. And if you are too and want to help spread the word, you can get the shirt that I'm wearing right now on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. You could also get exclusive, never before seen shirts only available to members of LukeUncensored.com, where of course we will be continuing this conversation later on today with yet another exclusive video only available to members, where we will be breaking down this entire confusing, disastrous situation in Ukraine, which from my opinion and perspective is going to be lasting for a very long time. It's definitely not going to be ending anytime soon. I think this is deliberate, and I'm going to be sharing my theories about what actually is going on later on today with another video only available for members of LukeUncensored.com. If you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? Click the link down in the description below to find out more and to log in and see all the incredible things we have available for people, a part of our quasi-secret society. Now, very interestingly, it looks like there's going to be a redemption arc for a big tech social media pioneer, and that, of course, is Jack Dorsey, who's tweeting some very interesting things. And ever since stepping down as the CEO of Twitter, he has been making some very eye-opening statements, especially a few days ago, where he openly said that he regrets his role in centralizing the internet, essentially admitting that he damaged the internet, which, of course, if you remember, we heavily criticized him for as he was doing it years ago. Now it looks like he has some regret, and whether subtweeting the Twitter board of directors or now openly calling out CNN, it's important to note here that something significant is happening here that I think is worth paying attention to, as of course Jack Dorsey even recently went after CNN with the deliberate division that according to him they are stirring. He responded specifically to Brian Stetler, a man commonly referred to as the eunuch, as Brian Stetler was criticizing Tucker Carlson, saying that Tucker Carlson is, quote, selling doubt. Jack Dorsey responded to this with an over-resounding positive response and 40.7 thousand likes, saying specifically, "And you all are selling hope?" question mark. And then in another conversation, he specifically called out CNN for manufacturing racial conflicts in Ferguson, saying specifically, "I know this from being on the streets of Ferguson during protests and watching them try to create conflict and film it, causing the protesters to chant F CNN." And I think it's fair to say that it's not just Jack Dorsey that's absolutely upset with the current state of corporate media, but a lot of people are, because they were deliberately lied to, deliberately manipulated, deliberately told falsehoods in order to help push an agenda that is destroying their way of life. Look at this article by CNBC. They wrote in July of 2020, when the government was printing money out of thin air, giving it out to random citizens, doing huge banker bailouts in the trillions of dollars. They wrote an article saying, quote, "Here's why economists don't expect trillions of dollars in economic stimulus to create inflation." As of course, right now we're dealing with some very significant inflation. How can you trust these people? You can't, and you should never. As of course, almost everything the corporate media puts out to you is scripted, hot trash, and garbage, carefully curated PR for the super rich. As even Jon Stewart, a man who's known for revolutionizing entertainment, just had a new Apple TV Plus show where he literally made segments that were absolutely cringy, unwatchable, blaming a lot of the world's problems predominantly on people being born a specific way. Yes, the main target, the main person that Jon Stewart attacked on his new show wasn't the big bankers, wasn't the unaccountable multinational corporations, wasn't the big fat bureaucrat government officials. The main focus, the thing that everyone talked about was, of course, Jon Stewart attacking white males, as of course he's a white male himself. Pushing, of course, the larger divide and conquer agenda, obscuring the true crimes happening against humanity, and a lot of people aren't falling for it, as of course his show literally lost almost 80% of their viewership after the 5th episode. And just when you thought the corporate establishment media couldn't get any more disgusting, any more down and dirty, any more pathetic, here we have the latest developments with the Washington Post, which of course ignored incriminating evidence of the president's son and his laptop with clear criminal activity, clear corruption with countries like China and Ukraine, not only ignored but covered up important evidence for the American public to understand about the clear misdoings of the current president's family. But there's a Twitter account that's reposting videos from TikTok. That, of course, is what the Washington Post will launch its full resources, its fangs, and launch a full frontal attack against. This coming from a newspaper owned by one of the world's richest people in the world, Jeff Bezos, that literally launched an article doxing the creators of the Libs of TikTok Twitter handle that literally just retweets videos. This article was done by Taylor Lorenz, who of course is being slammed as an absolute hypocrite for doxing the Libs of TikTok creator, which we found out was another woman that was 32 years old and lives in Brooklyn, New York. Now, the reason a lot of people are calling Taylor, this 49-year-old woman, an absolute hypocrite is just because days ago she was on corporate mainline television crying, saying how she has PTSD, is horrified because of people bullying her, releasing her private information, and attacking her based on the information that she releases. She specifically is a, quote, advocate against online harassment, which she says is a huge problem and a, quote, tool to silence people, especially women. This, as today, she literally launched an article which provided the home address of the creator of the Libs of TikTok Twitter account. Yes, the Washington Post initially released an article that linked to the address of the creator of this Twitter account, the private personal residence. The Washington Post, as of right now in the making of this video, has taken down this private information. They're still keeping the article up, as of course there's also photos and videos coming up of this Taylor character showing up to the homes of the family members of this creator of the Libs of TikTok, invading their personal space, knocking on their door, and using one of the world's richest man's newspaper as a tool to silence a woman. As of course what most likely is going to happen here is that this Libs of TikTok Twitter creator has her personal private information now out there to the general public, her address, her real estate license, the company she works for, and now most likely with what I've personally faced with, what other personalities faced with, most likely will be losing her job, have a targeted campaign of harassment, have crazy people show up at their house, be threatened, and most likely physically attacked, especially living in New York City, where, of course, a lot of crazy woke mobsters literally routinely target and attack individuals because of different political opinions. Personally, myself, I never even really cared about these kind of leftist lunatics, but I've dealt with all of that. I was personally attacked. I was threatened. I had people show up to my house. I had people knock on my door. I had people try to intimidate and scare my family, my loved ones. I dealt with fake bomb threats. I dealt with fake packages outside of my house. I dealt with an intimidation campaign. And I could see why the Libs of TikTok, especially living in New York City, wanted to keep their information private. And now, thanks to this person, Taylor Lorenz, their life most likely will be upended. They will have to deal with serious security threats. They will most likely lose their job and have their life ruined by this person who was just crying about this a couple days ago on the corporate media as if she was the victim. And what did the Libs of TikTok do here? Well, they literally reposted videos that were already publicly available to the general public. This is the craziest part about this entire story of the Washington Post and Taylor Lorenz launching a full attack piece on literally someone not even editing footage, but taking footage that people put out there and curating it. There's no opinions, but she's being accused of some kind of cynical, nefarious plot that was a right-wing, dangerous attack that was going to escalate against people of woke ideology. And again, this is absolutely insane type of thinking. Taylor Lorenz called the creator of Libs of TikTok a, quote, insurrectionist. She's saying that this is a carefully curated right-wing terror attack, when in reality, it's just highlighting and curating actual videos that people put up themselves. Now, I understand if the Libs of TikTok were conducting their activities like the Washington Post, that yeah, this is something that you should call out, that you should expose, especially if they're releasing people's private information, their names, their public addresses, the places that they work at, which the Washington Post did. But if the Libs of TikTok did that for all the crazy people that they highlighted on their Twitter account, maybe you could have an argument there, but that's not what happened here. That's not even close to what happened here. This is an account that's being targeted, that's being attacked by one of the world's richest people in the world that is coordinating a silencing of dissent, because the Libs of TikTok shows people the true reality of what's really happening in the world from the point of view of an unfiltered video released publicly to the world by individuals who want the world to see it. The Libs of TikTok, the people who are highlighted on Libs of TikTok, want their message to be out there to the world. Why are they angry when it's out there? Well, because when you look at it in context, it shows a reality and the truth of a situation that very powerful people do not want you to see. And there's a lot more that I want to say on this particular topic, but I can't here on YouTube. That's why, again, I'm going to be doing another video later on today on lukeuncensored.com. I hope to see you there. But to me, this is just an absolutely crazy, insane story highlighting how this larger divide and conquer agenda has totally taken over mainline society, as of course it looks like there's a huge culture war that is being fought with no rules, no laws, and is becoming more out of hand by the day. As we're fighting each other on these stupid, minuscule differences, we have to understand that bigger things are at play here, especially when it comes to our financial policy, especially when it comes to what the Federal Reserve is doing, especially when it comes to all the multinational corporations colluding together, screwing the average person over. Meanwhile, in my opinion, a lot of people are just talking about absolute nonsense. But hey, that's just my perspective. I could be wrong. Some people say I think like a boomer. That's fine. And if you thought I was wrong, if you think I don't see an aspect of the story that you want me to see, let me know what that is down in the comment section below. I don't always get things right. I appreciate the constructive criticism, and I appreciate people willing to actually reach out, have conversations, and let me see things that I have never seen before. Having an open mind is key. Crucial. Critically thinking, analyzing information is something that I strive to do, and if you thought I did an okay job at that, share this video with your friends and family members. It's one of the few ways that these videos still get out there to the general public, and they wouldn't if it wasn't for you. I love you guys. Stay tuned for a lot more here on wearechange.org.